Please be seated. So we have come to the end of the Bread of Life discourse. This is it. We have been coming together for the past 5 Sundays, and we have been talking about the bread of life. And so I'm going to give you the arc of our conversation with this text. We first began when Jesus is somewhere in one of the ports in the Sea of Galilee. It doesn't say where, but somewhere nearby there's a mountain. So wherever he is, it's close to a mountain. And he's there, and he sees people who are hungry, and he feeds them. About 5,000, they say. So he feeds them, and they're so excited that he has fed them that they say, "You're it, you're the man. We want you to be king." Jesus says, "Whoa, that's you're getting this all wrong." So he goes off to the mountain, stays there by a while, and then when it gets dark, they all come down, and then they go to Capernaum. That's where they go. And when they're there, people follow them. Right? Remember that? They follow Jesus. And Jesus, we learned today, has been teaching about the bread of life in the synagogue. He's been doing all these teachings in the synagogue. And in the synagogue, he starts telling the disciples about who he is and what he's about. So they thought he was to be king, and he says, "No, that's not for me. Let me tell you about Jesus Christ. Let me tell you about me, and let me tell you about what I'm called to do and who I'm called to serve and what I offer you." And so he starts going deeper and deeper. First, I can feed you now. I can feed you always, and you will never be hungry. Be with me, I offer eternal life. Eat me, dwell with me, be one with me, right? And then today, he says, when he starts hearing the grumblings and people are like, "Whoa, this is too much." You hear in the disciples when he gets to the point of telling them about how he is inviting them to be one with him, to dwell with him, to be one with him, that some of the disciples say, "Who can accept this?" That's what it says in the text. But one word to actually translate that word that is being said as accept is, "Who can hear this? Who can hear this message?" And he says, "You think that message is hard and difficult? What if I were to say that the Son of Man can go back to where he came from?" Which, in other words, what if I were to say that I'm going to ascend with God? How about that message? Can you hear that? And at that point, what do we hear? Some of the disciples say, "We can't do that." And so they move away. They no longer follow Jesus at that point. And then Jesus turns to the 12 apostles, and he says, "What about you? Can you accept this? Can you hear this? Do you need to go away too?" He offers them that choice. And Peter answers for them and says, "Lord, to whom can we go? We believe that you are the Holy One of God. What else is there for us to do but to follow you?" We were talking about, there's been a lot of bread talk. Where's the meat? And I think this is it. This is it. Jesus has taken a long time to explain and to teach about who he is and what he is and what it could cost. And then here's the question for us all. Can we follow Jesus? Can we hear his word? Can we accept Jesus' invitation to be one with Jesus, one with God? That is the question for us today. Because, like the disciples who ran into Jesus and they're sitting down and they're having all this bread and fish and having a party and being fed and no longer hungry, times are good, right? It's good times. They're there. It's a feast. Big party, big celebration. Yeah, I want this. I want this fun. I want this food, right? I want this goodies. I want the goodies. And then it gets harder. Because it's not just about the goodies. As the yoga instructor, Adrian, it's not fun, not as fun as when you also get the other things, the hard ones, the ones where Jesus invites us to forgive. Can we forgive those who hurt us? It's not as fun. Doesn't sound it as initially, but boy, our hearts feel a lot more tender, and we can live much better than holding resentment and not letting go of that pain and kind of digging into that scab over and over about how somebody hurt me, and I just won't let it heal because I want to scratch it and just kind of always make it bleed just to remember how that person hurt me, instead of being willing to forgive. And yes, there will always be that scar, but it will be healed and it will no longer hurt. Are we willing to listen to Jesus when we or somebody else in our lives is really, really ill and really, really hurting? Can we listen to Jesus and trust in Jesus' life and Jesus' promise that there is no death? Can we listen to Jesus when things are really hard because we don't know how we're going to survive financially because things didn't kind of work out the way we needed to or wanted to, and it's getting pretty tight? And we're not sure if we're going to get out of that hole, that financial hole. Can we listen and trust and still be generous and compassionate and not be afraid? Can we listen to Jesus when just life is just hard, plain hard? Can we trust to love even when we are not feeling loved? Can we trust in Jesus and try to understand even when we are not being understood? That is the question for us. Will we be able to listen and to hear Jesus' invitation to dwell with him? Because that choice is not once, it's every single day. We have to choose every day. Do I choose to follow Jesus today? Do I choose to listen to Jesus today or not? But here's the thing, that when we do say yes, and we do open our ears and listen, wonderful things happen. There's stories in the gospel where, just starting off in Jesus' ministry in the Gospel of John, when Mary says to the people who are at the wedding, and what does she say? Just do what he tells you. Just do it, no questions. And they do. And what happened? Big party, really great wine, the best, right? They saved the best for last. What happened to that blind man when he listened to Jesus? And Jesus said to him, after putting a little clay in his eyes, and he said, Go wash yourself in the pool of Siloam, which actually means to be sent, which is interesting. And he does. He washes. And that blind man can now see. What happened to those fishermen, right? When Jesus first comes up into the Sea of Galilee and he sees this boat and these very tired and discouraged fishermen, soon to be his disciples, and they have nothing. They've been out there very, very, very late and nothing. No fish to show anything. And you know, when you're a fisherman, a commercial fisherman, if you don't catch, you don't eat, because you can't sell your fish and make money. My son is, I'm really fortunate that my son's able to, he's a fisherman in the summer. He goes to Maine and he fishes with lobsters. He fishes for lobsters. Some of you may know this. And he goes out there and off they go into this boat and into the wild blue yonder, and they have traps all there. And you can tell, because every about somewhere between 2 and 5 o'clock in the afternoon, the boats come back. And they all go to the co-op dock and they start, weighing their catch, right? Well, you can tell when it's been a good day, and you can tell when it hasn't been such a good day, right? When it's been a good season and not such a good season. And so Jesus sees these fishermen in this boat, and they're looking very tired and very discouraged. And he says to them, "Did you try throwing your net onto the right side of the boat?" And initially, like, Jesus, really? We've been out there all day long. What are you talking about? We're really close to land. What do you know? You're not even a fisherman. You're a builder. You're a carpenter, right? You build buildings. What do you know about fishing? Put the net on the right side. All right, we'll humor you. And what happened? Do you remember the story? They can't even bring the nets. They're tearing because they're so full of fish. Abundance. Abundance. That's what Jesus offers us. Listen to me, hear me, and you will have abundant life. Not promising that there won't be trouble, not promising that it won't be hard, not promising that everything will come your way right away. What I promise you is an eternal life of abundance, always. That's the promise. That's the invitation. But God, as God is and God does not force us, does not coerce us, does not manipulate us, does not trick us into following God. Jesus says, "Follow me," and that is an invitation, not a command. That is our choice. We get to choose. We get to decide every time. And I am sure that there have been moments in your life where you have said, "Yes, I will listen." Think about what happened when you said yes. But if you're like me, I'm pretty sure that there have been times when you have said, "No, thank you. I can't do that one. It's too hard. It's too painful. I can't do that." We get to choose. We get to choose. And so I pray that all of us have the courage to say yes. I will listen. I will follow. I will serve you and only you. Because where else will I go? To whom else can I follow when I believe, when I trust that you are the Holy One of God? Amen.